all of you here today. While I know almost all of you, in case we have not yet met, I am Mayor Courtney Clarke, and on behalf of myself, City Council, and our amazing city staff, we just want to welcome all of you and thank you for joining us for our State of the City presentation this year.
While we have no shortage, this doesn't fit underneath. I was hoping it would, so it wouldn't be here the whole time. I'll put it there. While we have no shortage of great things to talk about here in Waukee, I'm going to try to keep it to the highlight reel. I don't think you want to see me talking for an hour, so in a few minutes, we'll invite some of our city directors up here to share with you some of the highlights from 2022 and things to look forward to in 2023 from their perspective and their departments as well. We would love to take questions from you as well. We received a few in advance, but if you didn't submit in advance or think of something else, please go ahead and feel free to write it on the cards at your table. And when we get started with the panel, city staff will come around and collect those from you. So we'll try to get to as many of those as we have time for here today. If you attended the last State of the City last year, which was on a very, very frigid Thursday night, so I don't blame you for not coming. But if you did attend, you may recall me highlighting a lot of different programs, projects, and plans that would help us advance city operations and improve our community. Many of those things are beginning to bear fruit. To name just a few, the first paramedic class taught by Waukee Fire Department staff was delivered to our Waukee Apex students this year. It received a lot of local media attention as it's both a wonderful opportunity to help students graduate with more career preparedness, but also to help fill a need. Iowa is under-resourced on EMS and fire personnel, and we're hoping to do our part to help fill that gap for the future. So now we'll hope to see some of those students join the Waukee department as they start their careers. Our fire department also had many life-saving moments last year, one of which inspired them to launch our first CPR certification course. The Waukee Police Department started an important new crisis intervention team in 2022, which has had a successful first 7 months and has enabled our officers to respond with a more robust and tailored approach to mental health-related calls. Mental health continues to be a primary challenge for our police departments, and I am so proud that our department was a leader in this effort, which has now become a regional-wide approach throughout the western suburbs. In addition to our dedicated CIT of Officer Chris Kickbush and mental health professional Melinda Austin, the entire police force completed crisis intervention training to help give them the tools and knowledge to respond to calls that involve a mental health crisis. Additionally, the Waukee Police Department also taught the first session of a self-defense course for women. These are great examples of additions to our already extensive community outreach that our departments do and help empower our residents to both stay safe and save the lives of others. We'll hear more about Triumph Park from Director Jermeyer here in a few minutes, but it is open, as I'm sure you've all seen, and has already drawn hundreds of thousands of visitors from across the metro and the U.S. I know my family has enjoyed the park, and I hope many of yours have as well. Major public improvements projects were moved forward in 2022, and we'll hear a lot more about those from Director Kester here in a few minutes as well. Several help enhance our roadways and water infrastructure, even with the significant supply chain disruptions we've all experienced in the last few years. The City of Waukee is proactively driving a new affordable housing project to help fulfill a need that's critical to both the metro and Waukee's future. We have land secured and are partnering on a vision that brings comfortable housing options to families and seniors with limited means. I'm not sure if many of you are aware, but we only have a few affordable senior housing options within Waukee today, and the wait list is upwards of 3 years to access a space. This project is one which other organizations and cities are watching very closely, and our success could spark similar projects to address the pressing need for affordable housing that many communities share. In addition, in 2022, the city completed our land purchase as an early step towards a future civic campus to house our staff and expand services and amenities to our community as we grow. We're in the very early stages of planning for the future community hub, but we hope to share more in the next year. Public art has been proven throughout the entire nation to help provide a sense of place, improve safety, and really create a cultural element to most cities. I appointed the first members of the Public Art Advisory Commission last fall, and they're starting work on a master plan for public art. And as many of you represent our business community here in Waukee, you all know we've continued to draw new businesses, which not only add services, goods, and employment opportunities that our residents want, but also add to our commercial base, which helps us continue to provide quality city services and add amenities to our community. Probably the biggest highlight for many residents, I think every time I move, it does that, so I'm going to try to stand as still as possible. No, just kidding. Probably the biggest highlight for many residents was the announcement of Target, which also happens to cross off one of the top 3 items on our resident wish list. But we also saw the first steps towards 2 new medical centers with Iowa Clinic and Unity Point, announcing surgery centers which will add closer access to a number of healthcare services right here in Waukee. And in addition, new retail, restaurants, and fitness businesses added entertainment and wellness opportunities for us here. Overall, 2022 was a year of great success here in Waukee, made possible by strong collaboration, smart planning, and the belief that Waukee is an amazing place to live, work, and play. Effective city government always has one eye in the future, though. Decisions we make today have a long-term impact, and we have to make big investments without the benefit of a crystal ball. However, what we do know is that the growth rate of Waukee has been tremendous, and we do not expect it to slow. Therefore, strategic planning is a critical foundation for supporting our growth that we've had and expect to see in the coming years. So the City Council, city staff, and I invest a lot of time and effort into evaluating what our community will need, not only now, but for decades to come. That planning serves as a path forward and a guide to evaluating new projects and prioritizing where we invest. In addition to our strategic plan, we have a lot of other plans, which I don't know that all residents always recognize. We have a comprehensive plan that guides land use and determines how every acre, really, of land in Waukee will be developed. We have master plans that guide our trail and park development, our road development, infrastructure, how neighborhoods develop, and soon even how we approach public art. And all of these plans are looked at as a comprehensive whole in order for us to really make the best decisions about our future growth. Fiscal responsibility is obviously another critical element in an effective city government, and I'm pleased to say that in the last fiscal year, we lowered the tax levy rate to $13.10 per thousand and maintained our AA2 bond rating, which helps us receive competitive interest rates in the bond market. With our growth, a significant portion of our budget goes toward expanding and improving infrastructure, from sewers to water supply to roads. We also invest in new parks and trails to make sure that residents have outdoor spaces to enjoy and in which we can all gather. Both areas lead to a high quality of living, not only draw new residents, but also businesses that want to make Waukee their home. Of course, we rely on our tremendous city staff. In 2022, we filled in our leadership team with our new marketing and communications director and our assistant city administrator, as well as welcomed our new police chief, Chad McCluskey. He's back there over at that table. We stole him away from Windsor Heights, for which their mayor has still not forgiven me and reminds me every time I see him. But in Windsor Heights, he was the head of both the police and fire departments. In addition, he has served as the chair of the Polk County Law Enforcement Executives Association, serves on both the Refugee Alliance of Central Iowa Community Justice Work Group and the Central Iowa Trauma Recovery Center Advisory Council. He's completed the FBI National Academy for Law Enforcement Officers and is an adjunct instructor of criminal justice. We are thrilled to have him here in Waukee, so if you haven't met him yet, please make sure to say hello and introduce yourself before you leave today. And that is a great transition to an exciting announcement. We're pleased to share a big project with you today. I know many of you have known this is coming, but we actually have drawings, so it's all very exciting. This project is critical to our continued excellence in public safety. With so many new residents joining our community each day, we need to add police officers, firefighters, paramedics, as well as support staff that enable our departments to operate effectively. We've outgrown our existing public safety facility and have a great need for more space to house our teams and ensure we give them the tools to meet best practices and perform their duties to the best of their abilities. As always, as we plan major projects, we look for ways we can serve multiple purposes, meet many strategic priorities, and prepare to meet the needs of our evolving community. Today, I get to share with you a preview of our new public safety building, which will also be a space that welcomes and serves community members. Our staff has been working closely with our design and construction partners to define requirements, understand needs, and plan for the future. We have this drawing up here, but we also have drawings and boards across the side, so please stop and take a look before you leave today. As you can see, this facility will actually serve multiple needs. It's a much larger facility than what we have today. It will house both the police department and half our fire department. The expansion into the Northwest will reduce response times for residents for emergency services as we continue to grow across the Northwest region. In addition, it has space for upwards of 70 police officers, which should see us well into our future growth. A large pond combines good stormwater management with recreational opportunities. You'll be able to enjoy fishing or walk along the trail, and our public safety staff can use that same facility for rescue training. Native landscaping and other stormwater features turn the site into a public classroom where students and community members can learn about ways we improve water quality. Sustainability was a theme through every aspect of design. In addition to stormwater, we're planning to add solar panels and geothermal heating to save on energy costs. But sustainability also means sustaining our staff, helping them and supporting their employee wellness. We need to take care of our first responders. So you'll see a lot of natural light in this facility, common areas that include fitness facilities and patios. We have dedicated sleeping areas to help overnight shifts get rest when they aren't answering calls. And for efficiency and cost savings, we're coordinating site work with Douglas Parkway and T Avenue projects. We may yet see some building this year, but most likely we'll start to see it come to life next year. I invite you to stop and take a closer look before you leave today, and I look forward to welcoming you to the facility as it comes to life. Now, I'm going to welcome 4 of our city directors to join me up here to talk about their 2022 highlights and what we can expect to hear more about in 2023. And they are really excited. You can tell by how quickly they're joining me. And we'll have staff come around. If you wrote a question, go ahead and hold it up, and we'll have staff come around and collect those, and we'll try to get to those. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and have the panelists introduce themselves down the row, and then we'll start with questions.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Rudy Castor. I'm the Public Works Director and City Engineer for the City of Waukee. I've been with the city since 2017 and specifically in the Director role since October of 2018. Happy to be here and welcome everybody.
I'm Matt Jeremiah. I'm the Parks and Recreation Director for the City of Waukee, and I'm actually just starting my 19th year with the City of Waukee.
He is not our longest term employee either, so.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jennifer Brown, and I've been the Economic Development Director only since July, but I've been with the city since 2021.
And I'm Andy Cass. I'm the Community Development Director. I've been the Community Development Director since January of 2022. However, I have been with the City of Waukee since December 2013. Thanks for coming.
All right. So we'll go ahead and we'll start with Rudy. 2022 was a big year in Waukee. We had a lot of initiatives as a city and a lot of exciting projects and growth. But what are some projects or trends that stand out to you?
Thank you, Mayor. You're correct. 22 was an exciting and productive year for Public Works specifically. Typically, we handle several $1 million of public infrastructure improvements, and that varies from our roadways to our traffic signals to our utilities, which include water, sanitary sewer, storm sewer, and gas utility. Some projects of highlight I would mention would be, and I'm sure most of the folks here, if you've driven our roadway networks, have experienced the pleasantries or probably displeasantries of a couple of our road projects we had in the past calendar year. But one would be Warrior Lane widening. We continue to march south from the intersection of Ashworth Drive and Warrior. We started that first phase in 21, and we continued with phase 2 here in this past calendar year. We're wrapping up restoration and final work for that project in early 23. Another one worth noting would be Ute and Ashworth with the opening of Sugar Creek Elementary down on Ashworth Drive. That was another project to highlight that we touched and continue to wrap up again in this calendar year. Significant impact for the mobility for the folks going to and from that elementary, as well as the expanding neighborhoods down there. And lastly, one that's probably a little unknown by probably the majority of the folks here in the room would be what is known as an Aquifer Storage and Recovery Well, or ASR for short. If you've been by Waukee Cemetery down on 6th Street, there's a new, what kind of looks like a detached garage building that went up, gray in color and simply that. But what that houses is some pumping equipment and control equipment for what was formerly a water source well for the community. We discontinued water source use of that back in the 80s, but we have since kind of had not used that asset for a number of years. We were able to work with some design staff as well as our internal staff of converting that to an ASR well. And what that means is we are planning to inject potable water down into the Jordan Aquifer, which is about 2,700 feet below us, and pull that out during our peaking months. So if you're aware of Waukee, we have a lot of new development, new turf going down that requires a lot of irrigation, as well as some of those folks that just like to have green lawns. So our call it our non-peaking months, we have about probably a base load of about 1.5 million gallons water used per day. So folks running the faucets, flushing the toilets and all that, using about 1.5. When it comes to our warmer months, when we're peaking, as we call it, we're pushing about 4 million gallons a day. So a significant increase in our water usage. And we're a wholesale customer of Des Moines Waterworks, so they sell us water at a wholesale rate. And we're really only contractually obligated or allowed to take about 3.7 million gallons. So we're exceeding that purchase capacity on a daily, possibly on a daily matter. So this ASR will help us bridge that gap or level those peakings that we've been experiencing. So it's in its final testing stages. So we're excited to start using that this season and then for the years to come. So,
Matt?
Thank you, Mayor. I would say that one of the biggest accomplishments we had in 2022 was the opening of Triumph Park. Many of you are aware of Triumph Park, but that project would not have been possible without great relationships between the city of Waukee and other entities within our community. One of those being the Waukee School District. Back in 2015, they had a need for a second high school, and we had a need for a regional park. And so we started working with the school district, and some of the things that we worked with on with the school district was the purchasing of the 160 acres for the overall site. The city and the school district worked together on that purchase. And then we shared, as we got through design of the overall complex, we shared on other amenities such as parking, stormwater detention, and also trail connectivity for safe routes to school. So we worked really well with the school districts, saving both entities on some of the costs. So we were very excited about that relationship and continue to be excited about it moving forward. Another relationship that was vital to the overall project was the Waukee Betterment Foundation. Those that know, the Waukee Betterment Foundation was the fundraising entity for the Miracle League Field, the Epic Playground, and the handicap accessible fishing pier. They did a phenomenal job raising $3 million during a pandemic, which is never easy, but they were able to fundraise up to $3 million for those three components of the overall project. And then the last piece of relationships that I want to touch on is our relationship with the Iowa Department of Natural Resources. So 2 years ago, when the school started construction and the pond was built, we had a partnership with the DNR to start stocking that pond. So that way, when we opened this Triumph Park and this last summer, that we were encouraging people to fish, there was actually fish in the pond to be able to be caught. So we continue to work with them, and that has been a vital piece to the overall project to make this Triumph Park much more than a baseball softball complex. Some other amenities within Triumph Park are the 12 baseball softball fields. I touched on the Miracle League field that the Betterment Foundation completed or fundraised for, and then also the Epic Playground. We use the word epic. If you haven't been out there, you'll see if you go out there why we use the word epic. But Landscape Structures is the manufacturer of the playground. They do one epic playground per year nationwide. And this was their 2022 Epic Playground of the Year. So we're very fortunate for that. Another amenity is the fishing pier. It's fully handicap accessible. It is the only handicap accessible fishing opportunity in Dallas County. So we're very proud of that. We have 3 miles of trails within the park connecting our neighborhoods to the school district, providing that safe routes to school. And so there's much more to do out there than baseball and softball, and that was our overall goal of the project. Looking at usership, so far we opened on June 3rd. So far we've done a little over 3,000 games out at the complex. We anticipate 4,500 games per year being held out at that complex. Monday through Friday, our local baseball and softball teams are utilizing the facility for games. And then on Saturdays and Sundays are highly used by tournaments, both local, regional, and national tournaments. This past July, we held 3 weeks of the USSSA National Tournament softball tournaments, in which each week we had somewhere in the neighborhood of 115 to 120 teams coming to play at Triumph Park. With 15 states, on average, 15 states each week being represented. It's from as far away as New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Utah, even as far away as Canada coming down to play. So we were really excited about that. Looking at overall attendance at Triumph Park, up to this point, since June 3rd, we've had 395,000 people visit Triumph Park. So you can see the economic impact that this is having as far as the number of visitors to our community. We've heard from a couple of our local business owners that have provided us positive feedback. The good news for them, they always ask me for a schedule. The good news for them, it's simple. April 1st to October 31st, every single weekend. So there really is no need for a schedule. We are booked solid April 1st to October 31st. And so we're excited about that and the overall impact that park is having on our community. But I hope just a little bit of my time here telling you about Triumph Park that you see that it's much more than baseball and softball. There's a lot more things out there that people are coming to utilize that facility. And I know that I would keep going on and on and on. But if you have any questions about Triumph Park, I would be happy to answer them after the fact.
One of the things I wanted to take just a second to highlight before we move on to Jennifer is that it's an example of how we look to meet multiple community needs with one facility, right? Which we talked about with the new public safety facility. But Triumph Park, obviously it meets a huge need for recreation capability within our city, but it also meets a need within the entire region. It strengthens regional partnerships. It helps with economic development. And then we talk a lot as a council about community placemaking and how do we maintain a hometown feel here in Waukee. And when you go out to Triumph Park on a weekend and you see elderly residents in wheelchairs teaching kids in baseball and softball uniforms how to fish, that is how we maintain a hometown feel here in Waukee, is having those community spaces where we can engineer collisions, if you will. Jennifer?
Thank you. I think it's no secret that we have a lot of development going on in Waukee, and that's noted in the numbers. We have record growth in Waukee with about $103 million in commercial valuation. Again, that's a record, and that's triple what we did in 2021, so that's exciting. A good portion of that growth can be attributed to the existing businesses in our community, and I think that's important to note. and important to celebrate as well. Some projects that I just wanted to highlight because the Economic Development Department certainly focuses on working with our businesses and helping them grow and eliminate barriers to that growth. One of those businesses, Burn Boot Camp, located in downtown Waukee. It repurposed the United Methodist Church. I think this is a fantastic project. Also, Kinship Brewery added a kitchen and also some capacity, brewery capacity as well, and opened their distribution channels, expanded those distribution channels as well. Premier Dance, I'm sure all of you have seen that. It's a fantastic new facility. It's also one of our is our first in Waukee dance facility, our huge, much larger dance facility and fine arts facility. So exciting place for our kids and our families to go as well. And Access Systems, one of our largest employers in Waukee, is building their headquarters, a 30,000 square foot headquarters in Waukee. Does have over 200 employees, but we'll be bringing them all to and consolidating them to the Waukee location. So it's a pretty significant project and an exciting project to have. And I don't want to duplicate what the mayor has already said, but we had some pretty exciting economic development announcements in Waukee this year. And certainly things to celebrate as well with the Waukee Town Center, with the anchor Target, but that we could announce the Target. So we're excited. But along with that is the Lifestyle Center. So the first here in Waukee. We have a lot of firsts in Waukee because we're still such a growing community, but the Lifestyle Center with an opportunity to shop and take part into some pretty fantastic recreational amenities as well. And then with the addition of our two medical facilities, the medical specialty clinic, and then surgery centers, adding some healthcare to our community will be a nice opportunity for us to maybe not travel so far like we once did before. And then, of course, we all know about the venue, the entertainment district, which was also announced in a new hotel. So all of those will expand our access to services, retail, hospitality, entertainment, where we didn't necessarily drive as far, but certainly adding employment opportunities for our community and new economic activity overall, in improving the health and wellness and well-being overall of the community. So it's pretty exciting for Waukee and for the future growth of the community. Andy, please turn that.
And stool off of thank you, Mayor Clarke. So as Jennifer highlighted, we definitely have a lot of stuff going on in our community. Certainly 2022 was certainly the nearly 10 years I've worked here was the busiest year from, a large scale commercial, warehouse, healthcare type process. I won't repeat all the projects that were approved, but certainly a very busy year on that side of things. Jennifer mentioned the $130 million in total valuation for commercial, which was a record. But I would also add that our total valuation in permits, including all the residential permits that were approved, our total valuation increased 27.5% over 2021. So very significant increase in just overall valuation as well. One of the trends that, outside of the, how busy we were with commercial and office type projects was the interest in multifamily housing. That's certainly been on the rise over the last several years, but with the additional interest in commercial, you're also going to get additional interest in multifamily housing. So certainly, nearly almost every residential project or development that we looked at last year, many of those had some sort of multifamily or medium density residential component to them. And, when we're looking at those, we're making sure that, as the mayor mentioned in her opening remarks about all these plans, neighborhood plans, comprehensive plans that we have, that those types of land uses are appropriate for the locations that they're being included in. So, we're making sure that the appropriate infrastructure is in place to house a higher density type product, that it's integrated well into whether it's an existing neighborhood or a planned neighborhood. So we're making sure that we're kind of checking all those boxes to make sure that type of housing fits within that neighborhood. So, again, a significant increase in an interest in multifamily housing. And it's kind of shifting more from your traditional 24-unit, two-story type building to these larger buildings. We've approved a couple of larger buildings over the last year. One has 174 units in it, and another one has 280 units in it in one single building as well. So it's transitioning from more of that traditional building to a much larger building. So certainly that was kind of one of the trends that really kind of along with the commercial that really kind of set 2022 apart from other years. Single family and townhome development still remains strong in 2022 as well. We're trucking along really well there. But also another uptick that we saw in 2022 was a significant increase in the number of single family lots that were developed by our developers who develop our community. Nearly just under 800 single family lots were developed in 2022, which is a pretty significant increase over 2021 as well. So a couple other things that folks might not know about are, as the mayor kind of touched on earlier, were some master plans. So one of the strategic planning priorities from previous years from the council was to do more implementation of our comprehensive plan, and one of those implementation strategies is to do kind of more of these neighborhood master plans. And so early last year we completed a master plan for a portion of our community in the Northwest neighborhood, which is south of Northwest Meredith Drive and west of Northwest 10th Street. It's about a 750 acre area. And, really that's when we're doing a neighborhood master plan, we're looking at land uses, we're looking at parks, we're looking at how those streets are aligned, really all sorts of, anything that you could do to build a nice neighborhood. That's what we're looking at. So, and in the process of that Northwest neighborhood master plan, we were coming up with some concepts that we really liked, and that we want to be able to apply to other neighborhoods in our community, not just this one specific area. So out of that, we also adopted and created the neighborhood design guide, so that we can not only use those concepts in the Northwest area, but also use them across other new neighborhoods and redeveloping areas as well. So those are two documents that will really help us create more sustainable, inclusive, and resilient communities going into the future. And then also another plan that I wanted to touch on real quickly is the Trails Master Plan that was adopted in 2022 as well. That was a project that several departments partnered on, including the Community Development Department and the Parks and Recreation Department with Director Jermeyer and his staff. And really that document helps guide a vision for where future green belts need to be preserved when we're working with developers, but then also for trail extensions through these to connect our neighborhoods, which is also another strategic planning priority for our city council. So, it's some of the stuff that maybe you're not hearing about. It's not a big commercial project that's being announced, but it's stuff that we're doing behind the scenes to really help guide development and in a responsible manner. So, thank you.
One of the things I want to hit on before we move on to 2023 and then to your questions, which thank you for filling those out, is that one of the questions we do get asked fairly regularly is, do we really need more multifamily housing? And we understand that. We do as a city. What City Council has done in conjunction with our staff is really establish guidelines around how much of our land can be used for multifamily. And so within those guidelines and where it should go, according to our comprehensive plan, multifamily is very much still available to be developed, but not beyond those guidelines. So I do want to just comment that we have set standards for those. And while right now multifamily is on an upswing, these things are very cyclical and they go through phases. We had almost no multifamily before last year in the 5 years before that was being developed, and then it sort of is on the upswing last year, and we'll go through these sort of swings as you will, as long as they're within our framework. So we'll start with Matt this time. As we look ahead this year, what is your department focused on, or what might our community members expect to see?
Yeah, I think looking forward for 2023, our biggest project is our Stratford Crossing Park. So that is located west of Northwest High School. It is a 7-acre neighborhood park. It will consist of play equipment. It will also consist of adequate parking, restrooms, and then trail connections. One of the things I wanted to hit on as it relates to Stratford Crossing Park is it's a vital link to the overall trails for that safe routes to school. So as part of this park project that will start here in probably April or May, as far as construction, is the connection to Northwest High School. There is currently an underpass under 10th Street. Right now, it doesn't lead to anything. But this park project will connect to that underpass that will connect into Triumph Park, but then also to the west through the park, it will connect into the Raccoon River Valley Trail. So it will act as a link of our overall trail system from Triumph Park, Northwest High School, all the way over to the Raccoon River Valley Trail. The other unique thing that we're trying to do within our parks is every new park, we're trying to do something different in each park. The item that's been chosen for this park is if this park will have a zip line in this park. So we're excited to see that come to fruition, but the construction of that project will begin as soon as weather allows and hopefully be completed early fall. So we're excited about that. And the other thing that I'm excited about is our recreation staff has been doing an excellent job. We just announced over 100 recreation programs that we are offering to the community. So look at our brochure that's now online, and you can register for any type of activity or program that suits your needs. And then the last thing I would finish with is our motto within our department is we work so that others can play. And I think that's so fitting. I'm just super excited about 2023 and what we can accomplish in the next year. So
One of the things we hear from residents most often is about we need more parks. And I think it's because a lot of residents don't necessarily explore beyond kind of the few big ones and the one in their neighborhood. But we do have 18, look at that, parks in Waukee. And I encourage you to get out and explore them. I know last year I took my kids on a tour, and while they don't really remember the actual names of the parks, the Spaghetti Park is their favorite. So that's Alice Nizzy Park for the rest of you, but they really enjoy that one. First?
Well, economic development knows that, and of course the city council knows that the downtown triangle, and everyone knows, right, that the downtown triangle is the heart and core of the city. It's original commercial district, and we certainly know that we want to continue to partner and collaborate with the downtown businesses and reactivate and revitalize the downtown district. We also know that the triangle, we're the only triangle in the state of Iowa, so we want to highlight that. We want to promote that. We're a bit of a hidden gem as far as in the metro, so we want to bring people to our downtown. But we also know that we need to give that district a little love, and so we're going to work with our downtown partners and share programs, implement programs that we know will help in revitalizing and reactivating that downtown, and really celebrate some successes down there and make it a highlight of the city, bring it, back to, what we think will be a great thriving commercial district. So that's a real important number one for the economic development department. And of course, part of that comes to, as I mentioned earlier, is focusing on continued conversations with our existing business community. We know first and foremost that a thriving existing business community is really the success and heart of our entire city. So we want to make sure that our existing businesses are successful and continue to work with them on their growth overall, and work with them on eliminating any of their obstacles and keep them in the city first and foremost. So that's our number one goal. And I think, as Matt alluded to, I'll just make one more comment. With Triumph Park and with the venue coming online, I know that, and we know overall as a city, that there's going to be a significant amount of visitors, probably upwards of 600,000. That may be a little bit conservative, visitors coming to Waukee annually. And that'll be about a $20 million impact annually, and maybe a little bit more, but certainly that's, potential economic impact. So economic development will be focused on facilitating new development opportunities, new businesses coming to Waukee, because we know that there's a lot of opportunity to bring new restaurants, new retail, and even new hospitality, new hotels to Waukee. And so that's definitely a priority in 2023 as well.
And before we move on to Andy, there was a question that was submitted that I'm going to just follow up with that. Where do I find results from the groups that evaluated the triangle, and have any recommendations been completed? Yeah, you're on.
I don't know how I did that. Yeah.
There we go.
Keep moving. Yes, well, the results, and apologies, I thought we posted those online, but we'll get those posted online. I thought we had done that, so we'll get those posted online right away after this, today. And then, yes, we have made some progress. We're having some conversations with the downtown community. We are working on a grant for the Pin Oak building. So that's very exciting. I know many have asked about that, and that'll be a little bit longer of a progress and path in terms of where that will land. So that is in the full application process. So, and we are working with a developer on transforming that space and reactivating that for a little bit more increased traffic in downtown. And that was, if anybody participated, they'll recall that the top priority was to kind of reactivate that. And of course, it's been vacant for a number of years. So that's also a top priority in general of that downtown assessment. So we'll continue on that path of activating any properties that are in that mode. But certainly we're excited that the Pin Oak has a potential for some grant funds.
Andy?
So some of the things that I'm excited about in 2023 are really kind of more their internal kind of process improvements within the community development department, but also are certainly beneficial to our customers that we serve, whether that's our development community, our home builders, our contractors, but also more importantly, our residents. So in late 2022, the community development department launched our online permitting platform called OpenGov. And essentially this is an online platform that you create an account, you can submit building permits, you can submit your rental program certificate or applications in for rental certificates. It allows you to do everything that you would need to do to submit a building permit, whether that's for a new single family home, a $30 million commercial project, or simple as a homeowner who wants to build a deck or finish their basement. It allows you to do that all from the comfort of your home, and also, more importantly, allows you to pay for permits from home as well if you choose to do so. You don't have to come to our office anymore and pay for an $80 deck permit if you don't want to. So we launched that in mid-October of 2022. So really monitoring how that's going. I think so far we found a few bugs that we need to get fixed and that we have fixed, but continuing to evaluate that. But also it's helping us improve our process on our end. We're able to respond to permit requests in a more rapid manner to our customers, again, home builders, developers, residents as well. In addition, we plan to roll that out to the planning side of the community development department. So instead of a developer submitting a paper application or emailing over a paper application to one of our staff members and maybe it gets lost in the shuffle, it's going to go to one central location where everyone on the planning side of things knows about this information and that we can distribute it out to the rest of our development review team. It's going to make things way more efficient. So really excited to continue to refine that process and roll that out on the planning side of things as well. In addition, one of the council strategic planning priorities is to improve our co-compliance process. And we're working through some of those steps as well to, provide additional opportunities for folks to make it easier for them to report any sort of concern that they might have as it relates to something that's going on in our community. And then just in general, I'm excited to see, what some of these large projects that were approved, that, as Jennifer and the mayor mentioned, the Keytown Loop area, the Target area, what additional development is that going to spur as a result of those projects getting either started or will be starting yet this year. So thanks again.
Rudy.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. A couple 23 highlights from a public works perspective. I'll hit on three. The first being T Avenue, and this was mentioned earlier by Mayor Clarke with the Public Safety Improvement Facility. Adjacent to that, we have some rural roadways, granular mostly or non-existent. So we intend to partner or work together collaboratively for the roadway improvements of T Avenue. And this is from Hickman North up to what is the future intersection of 280th or Douglas Parkway. So we'll be paving that roadway adjacent to the public safety site. We'll also be completing that final connection of Douglas Parkway to T Avenue. If you go out there now, out by the school district's natatorium, you look west, you'll see end of pavement, you'll see the Raccoon River Valley Trail, and you'll see a road on the other side. Well, we're going to complete that gap. We'll also be partnering, or we have been collaborating with Dallas County to construct an underpass for that Raccoon River Valley Trail with part of that project. Again, focusing on safety and as well as those quality of life improvements with it. Second project I want to touch base on is if you've been down 6th Street or in the Korean Acres area is our existing water tower. It currently has a capacity of about 500,000 gallons, and we intend to construct a new one adjacent to that location. The new water tower will have a capacity of 2.5 million gallons. So you'll see construction starting on that work, and it's probably about a year to a year and a half of construction. And the third and final project would be what we're calling a regional wetland or stormwater basin on the west side of 10th Street, north of Douglas. Andy mentioned earlier his answer about the Northwest Neighborhood Master Plan. Part of that master plan also accounted for stormwater management. So looking back or going down to our Grand Prairie Parkway corridor and seeing some of those ponds that we've established down there prior to even a lot of development happening out there now was for stormwater management purposes. And so that's really the genesis or approach there. The city has worked diligently with adjacent property owners to acquire about 30 acres to develop that stormwater management plan, that stormwater project.
And as a follow-up, can you explain when Douglas Parkway will become a street all the way through?
Yes. Well, happy to answer that one. We're currently under contract with a contractor to complete this section, missing there just west of Warrior Lane. So they've completed utility installation last calendar year. They'll be looking to pave that last piece here this spring, summer, as weather allows. That will complete our connection pretty much from the school's new natatorium all the way east to our east corporate boundary at Alice's Road with Clive. So we'll have that completed here by the start of our fall August 23 school semester. And then we anticipate starting construction for that T Avenue and final Douglas connection to T Avenue late this calendar year. We anticipate opening that last segment probably towards the end of calendar year 24.
So hopefully that makes everybody happy. Having Douglas completed all the way through will help with a lot of just traffic throughout the city and obviously continue to build our thoroughfares and our road structure. So now to additional questions. Some of them we already answered. I was trying to do that as we went through, but when is Waukee going to quit growing? It's a question we get regularly. I want to reframe it just a bit though before I throw it to our staff to kind of finish out the answer. I think I understand completely that Waukee does not look like it did 10 years ago. And it doesn't look like it did 15 years ago or 20 years ago. And for some people, that's really hard. And I get that completely. This push-pull between the community that you knew and the community we're becoming is a challenge. But I look at it from the perspective as well of we are a community of choice. People want to live here. People want to move here to raise their families. They want to come here to go to our schools. They want to come here to enjoy our amenities, to access the business opportunities here. And those are amazing things. While it's hard for a lot of people to see new land developed, we as a city do not own that land. We don't own the land. We don't own development firms. If private property owners sell their land to developers, that is going to develop, and we cannot stop that. What we can do is make sure that development is in line with our comprehensive plans, that it's well thought out, that it's planned for, that we have the infrastructure in place, and that everything that's designed is really in line with the design standards that we expect to see here in Waukee. And I probably just took his answer, but I'm going to now turn it over to Andy to add anything else he wants to about that.
Well, I think Mayor Clarke kind of hit the nail on the head with the response to that. Is Waukee is really a community of choice. We are a desirable community to live in. So, it's we can't make that decision for property owners whether they want to sell it to a developer or not. But what we can do is be proactive in our planning and plan for that development and growth and make decisions on where we want growth to happen. That all comes down to comprehensive planning, neighborhood planning, things like that. So those are the steps that we're doing to make sure we're doing it the right way, rather than just not really accounting for it. So Mayor Clarke really hit the nail on the head with her answer for that. So.
Anything else? I think additionally, as we continue to grow new residents, and just to say, we do not advertise for new residents, right? We don't go out and market and say, come move here. We're a community of choice. That just has happened. And so, but as new residents move here, that also provides opportunity for businesses that want to come here in order to access our population. And that provides services for our current residents. And I know I kind of said it as a throwaway line at the beginning that Target ticks off one of our top 3 resident requests, but that's actually true. That is one of the top 3 things we hear all the time is more retail, and specifically Target. And so those businesses then choose to come here because we have the resident base to support them as well. So it is a partnership. Next question. When will University Avenue be extended to 6th Avenue, and has the city purchased the farmland west of the golf course for the future central location?
I'll answer that one, Mayor Clarke. University Avenue, there's a missing link west of Warrior Lane, right? Our intentions were to proceed with that project or extend that University Avenue here in County Year 23. Due to some budgeting restraints, we've had to delay that project. Our new schedule or updated timeline is to start work on that extension in 2025. Now, that doesn't mean that missing link is completed in 25. It's probably a 2 to 3 year venture to complete all of the improvements that go along with extending a roadway. Utilities, relocation of existing utilities, as well as some of the aesthetics or amenities that go with it, trail construction and the likes. So we'll be starting that work in 25. I would anticipate that section between 6th and Warrior is completed in the end of 26, possibly into 27 at that time. The city has acquired over 225 acres just west of the existing Sugar Creek Golf Course, and that is the future home of our civic campus. We're probably more of that 8 to 10 year time frame where we're looking at completing that project, and I think Andy has a little more information on some of the efforts.
So as it relates to the civic campus, we're really in the early stages of kind of figuring out what that looks like. Selecting a consultant to work with us to master plan that area, but certainly in the coming years there'll be more information coming out on what that looks like, what facilities are all included in there. But really right now we're looking at good examples of what other communities across, not just in Iowa, but across the country have done for their civic campuses. So more information to come on that in the coming years.
One thing I want to highlight on that is similar to the additional other projects, we have a lot of input that we seek from the community. So when we did our comprehensive plan, we got a lot of input from the community. When we started to work on our plans for University Avenue, we got a lot of input from the community. We wanted to make sure that we were not negatively impacting the neighborhoods that already abut that area. And so our design not only incorporates that input, but it also then, again, similar to the public safety facility, really tries to meet multiple needs. And so not only is it going to enhance our roadway infrastructure and expand University Avenue, there will also be connectivity and a trail system that now connects all the way through from Centennial Park to our new civic campus when it's developed. And so there are a lot of different components that we look at with these where we're trying to make sure that we're walkable, that we're bikeable, that we're mobile access for our residents, but also that we continue to think about how do we improve the quality of life here in Waukee. And similar to that, when we start really kind of deep diving on what Civic Campus will be, there will be a lot of opportunities for community input at that point as well. So I encourage you to kind of keep your eye open and get involved and share with us your thoughts. We're always happy to hear them. We only have time for one more question because I promised no fewer than 3 people on the way in that we would end by 1 o'clock. So we only have time for one more question and then we'll do wrap up. But are you going to lower property taxes? So this is actually another question I get all the time. And I'll take that. I won't throw our staff under the bus on that one. So this is a key priority of the council every single year. It's actually, we have 8 budget priorities that we look at every single year as a council, and number 1 every year is attempt to lower the property tax levy. There are a lot of things and a lot of components that go into what your property tax level is. Obviously, taxable valuation and assessments. The state determined residential rollback number, which is a whole confusing thing that I won't get into today. And then there are multiple taxing entities within your property taxes. And I think that's something that people sometimes don't understand or necessarily recognize, is that only about 37% of your property taxes come to the city. 51% go to the school district, just under 10% to the county, and then various other entities, taxing entities, make up the rest of it. And so while it is a priority for us to lower our taxing levy here in Waukee, we can't control the entire levy. However, it has decreased. So last year, we actually decreased it from 1330 to 1310. We continue to try to do that. We've lowered it 4 times since I've been on council in 2017. And so it is a priority for us every single year. And it's something we continue to look at. We actually had planned to lower the levy again this year, but there was an unfortunate accounting issue with the state rollback, and it had a $400,000 impact on our budget here in Waukee. So we will not be able to lower the taxing levy this year in Waukee. Additionally, that 37% of your taxes that comes to Waukee pays for all of these services and more. The library, et cetera, it pays for everything. So we have all of this on our website, but if you feel like going to look at it, you'll see we've got an example out there that for a property owner in Waukee with a $300,000 home, what you pay Waukee is about $5.92 a day. And I like to equate it to a cup of Starbucks, but for that, you get all of these services, right? Police, fire, roads, economic development, community development, and code compliance, and building inspectors, and parks and trails, which I think is a heck of a value, but I understand that nobody likes paying that bill. And so it is a goal of ours every single year to try to lower that levy. So last thing I'll say on that, and then we'll move into closing comments, is just we're looking at putting together an educational session. Because it is a question we get all the time, and we understand that it's confusing, and quite frankly, everybody wants to see their taxes go down. So we're looking at putting together an educational session in the coming weeks. So please keep your eye out. We'll have a date for that soon, and we'll just kind of talk through how does it work and answer questions. So please come. We're happy to have that conversation with you for sure. I think, will everybody please join me in welcoming our directors up here, and then we'll let them sit down while we do closing comments. So. If we did not get to your question, which I think there are only 2 that we didn't answer, if we didn't get to it, just let us know afterwards how to get in touch with you, and we'll send you a direct response, because we want to make sure that we definitely answer everybody's questions. In addition to the great things from 2022, we are continually planning for the future. We know that to grow and deliver on the things our residents want, we have to expand our commercial tax base to maintain our lower taxes while delivering amenities and infrastructure, which in turn helps our business community thrive. City staff, council, and I work to support development and seek ways to partner with developers to add infrastructure that benefit the community as a whole. We talked about the lifestyle center that is planned for next to the Target Retail Center. These are ways we can marry amenities that benefit our community with economic development. We also have to be efficient in use of our resources, funds, staff time, and assets. So the council and I prioritize the projects that stand to offer the best benefit while balancing timing that makes sense, such as our combined work for T Avenue and new public safety building. With that, you may have noticed that collaboration is a strong theme throughout our achievements and exciting projects to look forward to. Waukee has built a reputation, and I actually hear this all the time throughout the metro, that we are great to work with. from our regional partners, our residents that are submitting projects to us for, a deck on their home, developers, our economic development partners, et cetera. And much of that has to do with many of you in the room. I'm proud of the strong relationships we've built with the Waukee Community School District, our nonprofit partners, the Chamber of Commerce, developers, our business community, Dallas County, our neighboring communities within the metro, and so many more. And I see that collaboration in volunteerism and community spirit every single day here, which is an essential piece of what actually makes it feel like a hometown. Thank you for joining me here today. And to those of you who watch this online later, if any of you do, I'm honored to serve as your mayor and to play a role in our success, however small my part might be. Have a great rest of your Friday, and I hope you all have a wonderful weekend. Thank you.